Chosen one, please listen and do not rush this moment, because what you are hearing now is not meant to be consumed quickly or emotionally skimmed. It is meant to land. It is meant to settle. It is meant to activate recognition deep inside you, in the part of your spirit that has been quietly waiting for confirmation without knowing what confirmation would sound like when it finally arrived. December 17th is not symbolic language. It is not poetic exaggeration. It is not a motivational hook designed to create temporary excitement. It is a divinely coded date, a fixed point placed deliberately into your life's timeline long before you ever questioned your purpose, long before you felt lost, and long before you learned the language of destiny, alignment, or calling. Some dates exist simply to pass. Others exist to mark memory. But there are rare dates that exist as thresholds, moments where one version of life ends and another begins, not dramatically, not loudly, but decisively. This is one of those dates. December 17th is not announcing preparation. Preparation already happened in private, in silence, in confusion, and in endurance. This date announces manifestation. It marks the moment where the internal rise you survived begins to express itself outwardly in structure, opportunity, recognition, and positioning. If something in your body feels still as you hear this, if your thoughts slow down, if something inside you whispers, "This is for me," that is not coincidence. That is resonance. Stay until the end, because understanding unfolds in layers, not all at once. Speak life over yourself even if your voice feels uncertain. Type 99 not as superstition, but as agreement. Comment your intentions not to be seen by people, but to be registered energetically. In the spiritual realm, attention is currency and alignment is participation. Engagement here is not promotion, it is positioning. Divine portals respond to consciousness, and December 17th is one of those moments where awareness itself becomes access and presence becomes permission. There were long, uncomfortable stretches of your life where nothing moved no matter how sincere you were, no matter how deeply you believed, and no matter how consistently you showed up. You prayed and waited. You tried and trusted. You adjusted and endured. And still, silence. Messages unanswered. Opportunities closing without explanation. Doors that looked promising suddenly locking right in front of you. In those moments, you questioned yourself quietly. You wondered if you misunderstood your intuition. You wondered if you imagined the calling. You wondered if you were simply hoping for something that was never meant for you. But that silence was not neglect. It was containment. It was protection disguised as delay. You were being shielded from environments that would have demanded too much of you before you were fully formed, spaces that would have drained you, minimized you, or required you to perform instead of mature. What felt like rejection was divine redirection. What felt like stagnation was exact timing. You were never late. You were never off schedule. You were never overlooked. Power requires precision. Visibility requires structure. Influence requires depth. Had certain doors opened earlier, you would have entered too small, too exposed, too early. Some destinies must incubate in obscurity. Some authority must be forged without witnesses. Some strength must develop where comparison and interference cannot reach it. And now, on December 17th, the season of containment expires. The silence lifts. The pause ends. The countdown completes. What was hidden not because it was fragile, but because it was potent, is now permitted to rise, not hurried, not chaotic, but aligned, stable, and irreversible. Chosen one, you did not endure by accident, and you did not survive because you were simply strong enough. You endured because endurance itself was the evidence of selection. There were moments when walking away would have been reasonable, understandable, even applauded by others. There were moments when quitting would have protected your pride, preserved your comfort, or spared you embarrassment. And yet, something deeper kept you anchored. Something inside you refused to disconnect even when clarity was absent. You stayed when others numbed themselves. You remained attentive when others became bitter. You held your integrity when compromise would have made life easier. And that endurance was not random, it was formative. You were overlooked in rooms where you carried insight that others did not yet have the capacity to recognize. You were misunderstood not because you were unclear, but because you were operating from a depth that others had not accessed yet. You were invisible while carrying solutions that would later become necessary. And this invisibility was not punishment. It was protection. Pressure refined your discernment. Isolation strengthened your inner authority. Being unseen forced you to develop identity without applause, confidence without validation, and stability without reassurance. You learned how to listen inwardly because external voices were unreliable. You learned how to stand alone because alignment often requires solitude. The gifts you carry now were not downloaded in moments of inspiration. They were forged in resistance, sharpened in waiting, and stabilized in disappointment. This is why your rise is different. This is why your elevation carries weight. Because it is not built on hype, momentum, or borrowed confidence. It is built on lived experience. And understand this clearly. The rise is not merely happening to you, it is happening through you. You are not just the recipient of the shift, you are the instrument of it. Your presence alters environments. Your clarity disrupts confusion. Your positioning answers questions without explanation. Public vindication is part of this season, but it will not come through dramatic announcements or loud declarations. It will come quietly, undeniably, through alignment. People will look at you and sense that something about you is settled, grounded, and immovable. And without you saying a word, they will understand that you did not arrive by chance, you arrived by calling. This is not a comeback story, because a comeback assumes you are returning to something familiar, something you once were, something you once had. You are not returning. You are ascending. What is unfolding now is not recovery, it is repositioning. It is not restoration to an old level. It is relocation into a dimension you have never occupied before. A comeback requires reference to the past. This rise requires release of it. You are not being asked to reclaim what was lost. You are being invited to embody what was reserved. This is why old strategies stop working. This is why familiar systems feel restrictive. This is why logic struggles to explain what is happening. Dimensional shifts do not obey linear reasoning. They obey alignment. Authority changes here, not because someone grants it to you, but because you grow into it. Permission becomes irrelevant when presence carries weight. You will notice that doors open without persuasion, that conversations shift when you enter the room, that recognition arrives without you chasing it. This rise moves like a tide. At first it is subtle, barely noticeable. Then it becomes steady, undeniable, and eventually impossible to resist. It does not ask for approval. It does not negotiate its arrival. It simply enters and rearranges the environment. People who once overlooked you begin to treat you differently without knowing why. Opportunities that once required effort begin to respond to alignment instead. You will realize that you are no longer operating from survival or recovery. You are operating from authority. This is a dimensional rise because it changes how you relate to time, effort, identity, and influence. You are no longer trying to prove that you belong. You are discovering where you are meant to lead. This shift does not require you to announce yourself. It requires you to remain aligned. The elevation is not dramatic, but it is decisive. And once you step into this dimension, you do not step back. The old reference points no longer apply. The old ceilings no longer hold. You are not going back to what was, you are moving forward into what has been waiting. There are moments when you still feel unprepared, even now, even after everything you have survived, learned, and outgrown. That feeling does not come from incapability. It comes from transition. You are stepping beyond the familiar version of yourself, and unfamiliar territory always creates a sense of exposure. But understand this clearly. Preparation does not always look like visible progress. Often, it looks like isolation. It looks like repetition without reward. It looks like effort that seems to go nowhere. It looks like frustration that teaches patience, disappointment that builds discernment, and waiting that strengthens inner structure. What prepared you is not applause, feedback, or reassurance. What prepared you is endurance without confirmation. Alignment matters more than readiness, because readiness is human measurement, but alignment is divine timing. Seeds do not argue with the soil about whether they are ready to grow. They respond to season. Underground, unseen, roots were stretching, stabilizing, anchoring themselves deep enough to support what would eventually rise above the surface. You were developing depth in places no one could interfere with, learning resilience where no one could interrupt you, and building internal authority where no one could dilute it. You are becoming without witnesses, and that is why your foundation is strong. December 17th does not suddenly make you capable. It reveals that capability was already there. This date becomes a reference point you will return to repeatedly, not because everything explodes at once, but because everything afterward carries a different gravity. Conversations feel different. Opportunities land differently. Decisions hold more weight. You will look back and realize this was the moment when your inner alignment crossed a threshold and became irreversible, when who you were internally finally became strong enough to sustain what was coming externally. The pressure you experienced was not random, and it was not punishment. Pressure is evidence of expansion. Resistance intensifies only where territory is being claimed. If nothing significant were attached to you, there would have been no opposition. Warfare follows assignment, not insignificance. You were not fighting battles simply because life is hard. You were confronting resistance that existed long before you arrived. Resistance embedded in patterns, cycles, and generational limitations that were waiting to be disrupted. The reason the weight felt heavy is because you were carrying more than yourself. You were clearing pathways others could not. You were confronting ceilings that had gone unchallenged. Heaven does not authorize what it has not tested, and you were tested in ways that forced you to mature quickly, to refine your discernment, and to strengthen your internal authority. The heat did not destroy you, it clarified you. The tension did not weaken you, it expanded your capacity. The pressure did not crush you, it trained you to carry more. You are emerging from that season not fragile, not uncertain, not reactive, but fortified. Approved, stabilized, positioned, ready. Ready not because you feel fearless, but because fear no longer controls your decisions. Ready because you have already survived what you once thought would break you. Ready because you learned how to stand without external validation. Ready because you know how to move without reassurance. December 17th does not introduce pressure. It releases you from it because the expansion has already taken place. December 17th marks a line you cannot cross backward, even if you try. This is not because you are arrogant, better than others, or suddenly above anything. It is because your internal structure has changed. Once vision expands, contraction becomes painful. Once discernment sharpens, Tolerance for misalignment disappears. Once authority stabilizes, begging feels unnatural. This is what irreversibility looks like. You are not being forced forward by pressure. You are being pulled forward by resonance. Old cycles no longer fit you, not because they are evil, but because they are finished. Conversations that once entertained you now drain you. Environments that once felt safe now feel stagnant. Patterns you once justified now feel heavy. And this discomfort is not confusion, it is confirmation. Favor begins replacing effort quietly, without spectacle. Where you once had to prove yourself, you are now recognized. Where you once had to explain, you are now trusted. Where you once asked for access, you are now invited. This is not magic. This is alignment expressing itself structurally. You are no longer the one searching for proof, validation, or permission. You become proof simply by existing where you once hoped to arrive. This is why returning to lower cycles will feel exhausting instead of familiar. It is not punishment, it is calibration. Life itself begins redirecting you without force. Missed calls become protection. Cancelled plans become redirection. Closed doors become relief instead of frustration. You stop fighting for places that cannot hold you because something in you finally believes what your soul always knew. You are not designed to remain small, hidden, or minimized. Irreversibility is not about never struggling again. It is about never shrinking again. It is about refusing to negotiate with versions of yourself you have outgrown. And from this point forward, every attempt to return to who you were will feel heavier than the effort required to become who you are. Once irreversibility locks in, acceleration follows naturally, not rushed, not chaotic, but intentional and precise. This is not the kind of speed that burns you out. This is the kind of momentum that carries you. Things begin moving without constant effort. Conversations align without forcing. Opportunities surface without chasing. Introductions happen organically. Recognition finds you instead of the other way around. This is royal movement, not loud, not flashy, not desperate, but undeniable. Time begins behaving differently around you. What once took years begins unfolding in months. What once required repetition begins resolving in a single moment of clarity. You may not even notice the speed at first because it feels calm, grounded, and orderly. Divine acceleration does not always feel dramatic. Often, it feels like relief. It feels like things finally making sense. It feels like being carried instead of dragged. Do not look for fireworks or instant applause. Transformation rarely announces itself while it is happening. It reveals itself in hindsight. One day you will pause and realize how much changed without struggle. How many doors opened without pressure. How many alignments occurred without manipulation. This is the supernatural wind compressing time, not to overwhelm you, but to honor the years you spent waiting, building, enduring, and staying faithful without guarantees. Acceleration is not reward for effort. It is response to alignment. When your inner world stabilizes, the outer world reorganizes quickly to match it. That is why things move faster now. Not because you suddenly became lucky, but because resistance no longer has legal access to you. You are no longer chasing life. Life is meeting you. And this movement does not stop once it starts. It builds. It compounds. It carries authority with it. From this point forward, stagnation will feel unnatural because motion has already been authorized. Chosen one, what is happening now is not self-improvement, not confidence building, and not another phase of working on yourself. What is happening is an identity reset, and identity resets are quiet, internal, and irreversible. You may not even be able to explain it clearly to others yet, but you feel it. You feel that certain doubts no longer have power over you. You notice that questions which once kept you awake at night no longer feel urgent. You are no longer negotiating with yourself about who you are allowed to be. Something has settled. Something has locked into place. This is because you are not becoming better, you are becoming truer. The version of you that needed constant reassurance is dissolving, not because life suddenly became easier, but because alignment has stabilized you internally. You are recognizing yourself differently. Your thoughts sound different. Your boundaries feel firmer. Your tolerance for confusion, disrespect, and misalignment has dropped without effort. This is not arrogance. This is clarity. This is what happens when identity catches up to destiny. You are no longer chasing a future version of yourself. You are stepping into the version your future has been waiting for. Old internal negotiations end here, the bargaining, the delaying, the shrinking until later. Later has arrived. Spiritual contracts that were once pending are now being finalized. Agreements you made unconsciously to stay small, to remain quiet, to wait until conditions were perfect, those contracts are dissolving. Heaven clears the runway not because you are flawless, but because you are ready. What is landing in your life now requires space, stability, and authority. You will notice that distractions fall away. Certain conversations lose relevance. Certain desires no longer pull at you. This is not loss, it is refinement. You are shedding versions of yourself that were built for survival, not leadership. And understand this. The discomfort you feel is not fear, it is expansion. Identity resets feel unfamiliar because they require you to let go of who you were used to being seen as. You are stepping into coherence, alignment, internal agreement. And once identity resets, reality must follow. Life always rearranges itself to match who you know yourself to be. That is why December 17th matters. This is the moment where your inner truth becomes non-negotiable and everything else must adjust. Chosen one, there comes a point in every authentic rise where what has been happening quietly inside you begins to express itself outwardly, not because you announce it, but because it can no longer remain unseen. This is that phase. Public manifestation does not always arrive as applause or sudden fame. It often arrives as undeniable positioning. People begin to notice you differently. Not because you changed your behavior to be impressive, but because your presence carries coherence. There is a steadiness to you now that cannot be ignored. Conversations shift when you enter. Your words land differently. Opportunities open without excessive explanation. And what confuses others most is that they cannot pinpoint what changed. They may say you seem calmer, clearer, more confident, more grounded, but language struggles to describe spiritual alignment when it becomes visible. This is not the result of strategy. This is not the outcome of image management. This is the fruit of obedience, endurance, and integrity practiced when no one was watching. Your rise becomes visible not because you demanded recognition, but because alignment attracts attention naturally. Losses that once felt unfair begin to reveal their purpose. What you thought was taken from you was actually redirected. What you thought delayed you was actually training you. Seeds planted in pain begin to return as reward, not all at once, but unmistakably. Dreams you once dismissed as unrealistic resurface, not as fantasies, but as assignments. You realize that what you were shown years ago was not imagination, it was preview. Prophecy often feels impractical until timing catches up. And now, timing is catching up. People who once overlooked you begin to reference you. Those who doubted you begin to ask questions. And yet, there is no need to explain, defend, or prove anything. Your life speaks. Your placement answers. Your consistency testifies. This visibility does not feel chaotic, it feels earned. It feels calm. It feels rightful. And most importantly, it feels clean. There is no desperation attached to it. No need to grasp or impress. Because when rise is authentic, it carries peace. This is not exposure, it is expression. This is not validation, it is alignment made visible. And as this visibility increases, remember this: you are not responsible for how others interpret your elevation. You are responsible only for remaining aligned. December 17th marked the internal shift. What follows is simply reality catching up. There comes a moment in every true rise where the internal transformation you have lived through in silence finally begins to pull reality toward it, not because you demanded it, not because you forced it, but because alignment creates gravity. This is that moment. On and after December 17th, you may not immediately see fireworks, applause, or dramatic announcements, but you will begin to notice something far more telling. Conversations happening without your presence, doors opening before you knock, and recognition forming before you arrive. Your name will be spoken in rooms you have never entered, not as gossip, not as speculation, but as consideration. Your energy will precede you. People will feel you before they understand you. This is what happens when identity stabilizes at a higher frequency. Reality effortlessly starts to adjust. You may feel moments of discomfort as old environments suddenly feel too tight, too loud, or too slow. Tolerances you once had will quietly dissolve. Habits that once soothed you will no longer satisfy you. Conversations you once entertained will now feel draining. This is not judgment. This is alignment clarifying itself. Frequency shifts often come with exits, relationships that fade, routines that fall away, roles that no longer fit. And this does not mean something is wrong. It means reality is catching up to who you already became internally. You may also notice heightened clarity. Decisions that once took weeks telling themselves into circles now resolve quickly. You trust yourself differently. Not loudly, not arrogantly, but steadily. December 17th becomes the convergence point, the moment where the inner evolution you lived through quietly finally meets the external world. The lag closes. The echo ends. What you've carried begins to reflect back to you through circumstances, people, and timing. This is energetic arrival. You are no longer approaching your life, you are inhabiting it. And once reality catches up, it does not reverse. It recalibrates permanently. Restoration does not always look like getting back what you lost in the same form you lost it, and this is one of the most important truths you will come to understand as your rise stabilizes. On and after December 17th, what returns to you time, confidence, creativity, identity, clarity will not come through the same doors that once closed. It will arrive through new channels, new structures, new alignments that do not carry the emotional weight of your past. This is restoration without repetition. You are not going backward to fix what was broken. You are moving forward with what has been refined. Time begins to return because you are no longer distracted by proving yourself. Ideas return because your mind is no longer crowded with survival noise. Identity returns because you are no longer negotiating your worth. Even things that once felt lost, opportunities, recognition, momentum, reappear differently, often better timed, better supported, and better suited to who you are now. Attraction replaces effort. You will notice that what once required exhausting pursuit now responds naturally to your presence. This is not laziness, it is alignment. Elevation does not need to announce itself loudly. It announces itself through placement. You will find yourself positioned where decisions are made, where influence flows, where visibility feels natural rather than forced. Your voice shifts from requesting to leading, from explaining to stating, from hoping to directing. And this does not come with arrogance, it comes with calm authority. You will feel less urgency to convince others because you are no longer convincing yourself. Restoration also means healing without reopening old wounds. You do not need to revisit every pain to prove you've overcome it. Some chapters close because their lesson has already been absorbed. December 17th marks the moment where divine return happens cleanly, without chaos, without emotional debt, without dragging old cycles into new seasons. What comes back is not the past. It is the essence of what was always yours, now returned in a form that can finally stay.